Yo, what's going on guys, it's Filthy here, welcome back to another video. Now, I'm sure you've read the title. If you haven't, that's a bit weird, but I'm starting the most original idea ever. You know, no one's definitely done this before, but I'm going to be starting a building with. And this building with, I'm going to be like full on ripping off Samifying with his building report, where I'm going to be voicing over and talking you guys through what I'm doing, because I feel like most people when they do building with, it's just a speed build, and they kind of build, they don't talk about, you know, what's going on in their mind. So I wanted to talk about what's going on in my mind, what goes through my mind, and what makes me have the ideas that I have. Now, I'm not a perfect creator, I'm not a good creator, so you guys shouldn't be going off of what I'm doing. But, you know, feel free to learn tips and tricks from me. If you think I'm a good creator, go on and rip me off. I'm not going to blame you, you know, I do the same as well, not going to lie. But, yeah, without further ado, let's get on with the video. Right, so basically when I started this time lapse, I cut it a bit short because there was some difficulties, but I added shading to orbs and whatnot to make it like look kind of rustic. Anyways, I'm moving on to the foreground. There's a lot of layers to the foreground. As you can see, I added these, like, I don't know what you call them, there's like lines, grass blocks at like a low opacity black because they're closest. And there's black bushes because also they're closest. And there's, it gets lighter and lighter as it goes further to the back because the light source is coming from the back. So there's you know, light bushes, and then there's lighter bushes, and then below the gameplay there's the lightest bushes. Those are some rocks, and they move at various speeds. Now what I'm doing is I'm just making like a rock structure that the player can land on. I used the rock edges to give it an edge, and I used a rock 3D to give it a 3D. Now what I'm doing here is making a spike, and it's very simple. It's nothing special whatsoever. I end up deleting this part because it just makes the gameplay way too hard because you can't see it from the bushes. But the majority of this video, if not in this whole video, it's here. Here I'm making a sign where it says castle that way, and right now I'm adding the shading. And I use the little faded line blocks to make it look like the castle was made by the sign was made by some adventurer that kind of scratched a piece of wood with a rock. You see it writes haunted castle, and then it's like a arrow sign. You can barely see it in game, but if you pay attention you can see it, and I think it adds a really cool look to it, like a bit of immersiveness. I added some moss to it as well, as you can see. But yeah, add some immersiveness, because like to make it feel like the place has been explored before and you're exploring it now. I'm adding more shading to give it that rustic look. I'm copy and pasting the rocks around. I end up deleting them rocks as well. Yeah, I'm looking on Google for inspiration right now. I'll show on the screen what I'm inspired off of. I found the image on Adobe stock. It's weird, but I find most of my images there. I end up going with a mushroom, kind of folded over. That's why it's like irregular like that. I use a sort of an off-white on the bottom here, and then I make the little lines out of the shaded blocks. Yeah, then I add more shading to make it look like the top is folded over. Then I add more shading to the top to make the top look round instead of flat. And I'm adding the stem, if that's what you could call it, and you can't even see it, but I put it there just in case. Now I'm doing this little light beam that kind of shines to the beat as you go by. The darker, smaller stars kind of pop up faster than the bigger, brighter stars to give it like, I don't even know what sort of effect it would give, but it gives a cool effect. It gives some immersiveness, like a magical world. Now I'm sure you guys have noticed I'm pretty much ripping off of Emerald Realm here. Anyways, that's besides the point. I'm making like a tree trunk here. There's way too much glow. This is glow in the way that was really annoying me, so I ended up fixing that. But I make this sort of tree trunk to put like this, where I could put the spikes, then like it's not just an empty area. Here I try making some sort of like jagged edge to give to the trunk, but it doesn't even end up looking good. Now here I put the little spikes to indicate that it kills you. I don't know what to say about that. Like, it indicates that it kills you. Full stop. And I'm playtesting it a bit here, and now I'm using the show hitbox, so then it's like not messed up. And then here what I'm doing is I'm using the vines that I've used earlier. These aren't a part of the foreground, so they don't move, and I'm making them hold up the spike. Playtesting a bit to see if it looks good. It doesn't. It looks like dog water, but you know what? Yeah. Now what I'm doing is copy and pasting the block design over because I am lazy, and it gets hidden in most of the foreground anyways, so it ends up looking decent, I guess. Here I copy and paste the block design that I made earlier, that little rock design, and also the rock spikes. I'll make the layout invisible, obviously. Now what I'm doing here is, this is where I've ripped off Emerald Realm the most, is what I'm doing here is I'm making a lock. It's really complicated for something so simple. It's just like a broken log that yeah, you'll see what I'm doing. I'm making the base shape here. Nothing crazy. I'm filling it in. I'm obviously using brown. What other color would I use? Now what I'm doing is I'm making like the background of it to make it look like it's, instead of just two pieces of log and like one's floating, it's actually one round log, and the top is being supported by the other half. It's got a very cartoony shape right now, so I don't know what I'm doing here on my screen's frozen, but I end up using the outline block blocks, I don't know what you want to call them, but I end up using them as sticks, just copy and paste them around. I don't do any specific pattern, I just put them on the top, and then I put them on the edges to make it look like rocks. Then I use different sticks, but I use different blocks or different edges to make different sort of rocks. Now what I'm doing here, I keep saying rocks, I'm actually so dumb. Anyways, what I'm doing here, or what I did do, is I put the sticks over the orbs to make it look like they're kind of holding the orbs. I need more shading. I don't know why I didn't do this first, but I need more shading to the orbs. I add the foreground here, just copy and pasting it around. It's nothing crazy. Basically how I done the foreground is I just put a whole bunch of objects, I laid them, and then I made them move backwards faster, if that makes sense. This is the background now, not the foreground. So yeah, it's just a bunch of trees. It looks like poo in the editor. It looks a bit better in game, still looks like poo in game, but yeah. I'm using the vine spike to kind of guide you down, because there it doesn't look like you're meant to go down. Anyways, I'm making some sort of air deco here. What I ended up making is, for every time you needed to jump or click on an orb, there's like arrows that pulse. As you can see, it said arrow pulse. And then every time you had to click with the UFO, it's a circle that pulses. And not like pulses like color pulses, but it ends up going, or with the arrows it ends up going forwards. Like you see how I made a line and end up, you'll see what I mean at the end if you really pay attention. I really don't know how to describe it. Now I'm making the crystal pulse, because the crystal pulses to the beat. Because in this part of the song there's like crystal sort of sounds, like dings. So I thought it'd be a good idea to make the crystals pulse to that. Took a long time, as you can see. I was looking at that there. It took a really long time. Way too long. Okay, here I'm making the entrance. So I just made up a wall, and now what I'm doing is I'm making like a door. I'm kind of making this like off the top of my head. I used some references, but I'm kind of going off the top of my head. This was the hardest part, making that little curve there. But I make some shading, because shading makes everything look good. Now I'm making some sort of pavement that's being held up by like a sort of bridge looking thing. Nothing crazy. Then I'm making the entrance color to make it look like you're going into some mysterious haunted castle, which is what you're going into. Now there's going to be a transition. It's just a basic pulse transition where the whole screen pulses white. and you can't see the inside from the outside, and you can't see the outside from the inside, if that makes sense. So once you're outside the castle, you cannot see the inside, but when you're inside the castle, you cannot see the outside. So I play tested I play tested a bunch here. Yeah, I think it looked kind of good. I needed to fix the foreground a lot because there was issues with that. But yeah, as you can see, I keep playtesting it to fix the foreground. Now I'm adding invisible swords just to places where you shouldn't be going. There's nothing crazy, and that's it. That's it for the speed build, guys. I'm going to be showing you the level now, but some things are going to be different. I doubt that you guys would even notice, but some things will be different. That's because, like I think I said earlier, I don't even know if I did, but I ended up optimizing a bit, and I ended up nerfing a bit because it's just way too much. Without further ado, here's the level.